Well, you might notice something different about me today. For the first time since this outbreak began, I've taken off my tie because I'm bringing you on a virtual field trip to Red Rock Canyon Desert State Park. Like most things, this state park has been closed because of the pandemic, but luckily we were able to park illegally alongside the highway and work our way into the heart of this very beautiful, full of intrinsic, that priceless value state park. We are practicing social distancing here. Of course, you should stay 6 feet away from all people. I like to stay at least 10 feet away from my children. And I like our current relationship here where I'm never anywhere near any of my old students. Because every day I wake up, and then before I put on my shirt and tie and get dressed for success, I think to myself, do I miss my students? I'm not going to answer that, but I think you know the answer. So Red Rock Canyon Desert State Park is located out here in the Mojave Desert of Kern County. The Mojave is a massive desert. If we remember, there are closed and open systems. On Earth, the systems tend to be open. In Red Rock Canyon State Park is definitely an open system. You can see if the camera will pan to the side here for a minute, that it's extensive, of course, open up to the climate, occasional rain, but there's nothing stopping dust from blowing in or out, or gases coming in or gases coming out, and the water that does flow through here just flows right on out later on. So on a field trip to Red Rock Canyon, we would of course notice the geology, the layers of rock. Once again, let's take a look at those. Formed over somewhere between 8 and 18 million years it took for these layers to form. A lot of the layers are from different volcanic eruptions. This volcanic rock, though, if we remember the rock cycle, became sedimentary rock when it was compacted and cemented. Now, on top of a lot of these formations are harder volcanic layers which hold it together. So when it erodes away because the stream passing through like is happening right where we are now, the stronger rock on top holds it together, which does leave the beautiful cliffs and make it a pleasing place to visit. On top of course, the geology, we also are aware that this is a place where there's desert, it's a desert ecosystem. Now this is a temperate desert ecosystem. This desert is at the bottom of a Hadley cell. If we remember, at the equator, the warm, wet water was raised. As it raised, it got colder and denser and dropped the rain, and the Hadley cells brought currents of cold, dry air out here over the desert, where they drop back down before getting sucked back into the equator. As that air drops here, though, it does compact and become warmer. So this is a warm spot, even on a spring day, is also, though, a dry spot. But if we do take a look over here to the ground, you can see that this is a time of productivity. The gross primary productivity of the desert is highest in the spring. This time of year is also when the flowers bloom, the pollinators come out. It's the time of year when the animals have the little herbivores have the easiest time of finding nutrition. These plants don't grow a lot, and there's not a lot of gross primary productivity or net primary productivity in the desert ecosystem. If you remember, the gross primary productivity is the total amount, but the plants use up some of that energy, and what's left behind is the net primary productivity. Red Rock Canyon State Park is, along with the geology, famous for the Joshua trees, which we cannot see in this video because the park is closed, and so we didn't have easy access to the Joshua trees. But they are the most noticeable plant species here, but although by no means the most common. But when we do look around, and if you look around again, you're probably not going to see any animals. If we look at a ecological pyramid of any sort, be it biomass, numbers, or energy, most of the life in the ecosystem is the plants. And definitely this is true here. We saw one cottontail rabbit, and we've seen a few lizards and a couple birds, but really this is a place of rock, lack of rain, and consequently, of course, the dryness. And it's a good place for remembering one physics lesson, which is the potential energy. You know, when you are climbing up something, you are able to then consequently fall down. If you take a look at Livia, come here please, Liv. Like promised, she's already cut herself. Let's show them your arm. When you're up high, there is room to fall, and there's potential, show them your arm, are you bleeding? There's potential to transfer the energy of you at the top of a rock down to the bottom. And there's of course also potential for blood and potential for crying and potential for the dad trying to get the crying child to stop crying, which eventually did work out. Now, had we come, we would of course been able to hear from a professional naturalist, not an amateur such as myself. And we've also heard lessons about how the California poppy evolved out of here, and the original poppy is from Red Rock Canyon State Park. And we would have seen in the visitor center that this, you know, these millions of years of sediment also held fossils of elephants and giant sloths and all sorts of wildlife that existed, you know, quite a while ago. And we would have seen the cactus wren nests and so much more. But like all things, we lose out when we're forced to self-quarantine. But always remember, there will be time for adventure after this. And these protected areas, national and state parks, pandemics end, but we can do a lot of damage to these places, so we protect them. That's why they're closed down, especially the national parks, because we can't trust everyone. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this virtual field trip and are enjoying your virtual life. Hopefully you're finding virtual friends and virtual happiness. It's just all real sad.